Last night, in a move that shocked basically everyone, the Democrats voted to block the emergency relief package that would see most Americans receive a check of $1,200 in direct aid. When asked why they did it, they said it's because the bill has too many loose ends, that major corporations will get a ton of money, and there's nothing stopping them from spending it irresponsibly. To me, it seems like a weak argument. I mean, there's 1,000,001 loopholes. What are you going to do? Sit through and try and work out every way in which they could be irresponsible or do things that won't help workers? It's tough. I think the best thing we can do is make sure we rush this package to the American people because they desperately need it. In fact, many Republicans skipped their vacation in order to get this bill done. The Democrats, however, took their vacation, dropped in at the last minute, and then said no. It would seem that the reason Democrats are actually doing this is because they know the American people are desperate, and now is their opportunity to force Republicans to give them policy positions they really want. There are a couple stories outlining this. One Democrat told Nancy Pelosi, this is the opportunity to reshape things that in our image, to get what we want. I find this absolutely detestable. Now is not the time for partisan bickering. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who say, no, the Republicans are holding it up by trying to give the corporates, the big corporations, a bailout. Look, man, it was the Republicans who skipped their vacation. I don't know what else to tell you. But this segment isn't so much about rehashing this story about the Democrat bailout, but I will show you all the stuff. But I want to talk about the coming defeat they will face in November. Now, for a long time, I was very bullish on Donald Trump getting reelected because the economy was doing so well. Once the economy took a major hit, I said, man, this could be it. I don't know. The economy is doing poorly. And if Trump doesn't do well to manage this crisis, he might get voted out. But I got to be honest. Who are they going to vote for? Joe Biden? Which brings me to the next bit. You see, people have been talking about how Joe Biden's been missing. So Biden decided to do some kind of live conference from his house with this weird looking green screen type thing. He was muttering and mumbling as per usual. He was fanning over trying to get it was a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. And the dude seemed extremely tired and he was barely able to actually get his ideas out. It lasted a short few minutes and then he was gone. And many of the networks decided to air Governor Cuomo addressing the growing crisis instead of Joe Biden. I'm sorry, man. Trump has no real opposition in this election. He's getting daily airtime. The polls show, the aggregate polling shows Trump is above water in terms of how he's dealing with this crisis. And the Democrats just blocked your $1,200 stimulus check. I'm not going to pretend like the Republican bill was perfect, but I'm going to be honest and say they're rushing to get it done. And this is what we have on the table. Stalling makes no sense as people are suffering. Let's take a look at what's going on with these two big stories. I want to show you this Biden stuff. It is. Look, it's really sad, man. But we'll get into it. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's several ways you can give, but the best thing you can do is share this video. I want to show you why. This story from The Hill has 439,486 shares. Senate Democrats block mammoth coronavirus stimulus package, not Republicans. People are sharing this and they're angry. Some people might not want to accept reality. They might be convinced that it was the Republicans who did all of this, but that's not what people are seeing. And it's not what they're going to be talking about in the upcoming election in November. And according to a new survey from Newsweek, they believe the economy is going to rebound as soon as this resolves. Now, it may not, but if it does, it is going to be one of the biggest Republican victories we have ever seen. And we've seen a couple of them you had Reagan, you had Nixon's reelection. This might be another spectacular victory for Republicans, especially considering this. Now, here's the story. This is what I've been talking about for some time, but let's get some context. You see, about a week ago, Yang was right trended as Trump eyes giving Americans checks to mitigate coronavirus economic impact. Progressives and Republicans were in agreement, cut a check for the American people. And it was Schumer and Pelosi who pushed back, saying, no, it wasn't the right thing to do. And you know why I think they did it? Because Orange Man is bad. They couldn't give Trump an amazing victory that would help the American people. They don't want to reelect the guy, so they must obstruct him in some way. But the problem then becomes even progressives were mad at you. So they changed the script. They flipped the narrative. This is something they've done pretty well, actually. And they made it more about the Republicans are trying to help the corporations. Look, man, you'll always find a loophole. You can't sit down and try and figure out every single loophole. Now, it's true they could have put some restrictions, but I don't know. The best thing they could do is just rush this relief package. Which brings me to the real agenda of the Democrats. Democratic rep told colleagues that this relief package is a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What about your vision? I don't care about your vision. People have no money. They just lost their jobs. I have friends hitting me up saying I've been laid off. I don't know what to do. How do I pay my rent? How do I buy food? And you're talking about changing things to fit your vision instead of just providing relief to Americans? Man, the Democrats are going to get wiped out in November. I'll say it a million times because I have friends asking me, why are the Democrats doing this? I don't understand. And now you can argue all day and night. The Democrats had good reason to do this. Don't care. It's not going to change the point I'm making. My friends who are asking me about this don't know why they did it. All they know is that Yang Gang people and Trump supporters were all saying, we're going to write you this check. Now, the check has some caveats. If you have no taxable income, no qualifying income in 2018, you only get around $600 or something like that. Or actually, you might get nothing. But most people will see a check for $1,200. Now people are wondering why they're not going to get it. And this is why. The Democrats see this as an opportunity to get what they want. In an opinion piece for USA Today, Stephen Strauss writes, Democrats, please don't waste this crisis. Hold out for what Americans need. What do you mean hold out? There are families in this country who can't hold out. They've lost their jobs. They have no money. They don't know how they're going to pay their bills or buy food. And you're saying hold out to get some political points? Democrats should leverage Republican desperation to ensure any bailout protects workers, elections, and healthcare, not CEOs or the GOP. Okay, sure. I can understand that. But they're talking about Republican desperation. What do you mean? It's not Republicans who are desperate. They're mostly millionaires, just like the rest of the politicians in Congress. These people aren't worried about anything. Their worst case scenario is they lose their job and then go retire with stacks of cash. The people who are desperate are the American people, and it was the Republicans who skipped their vacation to get the job done. I can't believe you've got me saying this. I couldn't believe it when I first read these stories. You see, a bunch of memes are going around right now from Trump supporters saying Republicans skipped vacation so they could get the bill done. Pelosi takes her vacation, moses on in, and then puts and then blocks the bill. And I said, no, there's no way. That's so egregious. There's no way the Democrats would do that. Pelosi, returning from recess, announces House Dems will have their own response bill. Returning from recess? What do you mean returning from recess? What were you doing this whole time? You now come back while everyone was working really hard to protect the American people? Take a look at this story from March 12th. I am no fan of Mitch McConnell. Look at this. McConnell reluctantly nixes vacation plans to work on virus bill. McConnell gave up his vacation to work on this bill. And I'm sitting here. Are you kidding me? He skipped his planned recess. They even say it. Okay, well, I don't have it pulled up. They talk about how the Republicans skipped their recess and the Democrats just wanted to get what they want. From legal insurrection. Senate Democrats block economic rescue bill after Pelosi pulls power play in House. Senate spends all weekend negotiating a bipartisan deal. Agreement reached. Pelosi flies in from California, whips out her unrelated wish list and says no. Senate Democrats then vote against proceeding on a bill they negotiated. Jaw-dropping. You know what, man? We're in the weeds here. Regular people don't know anything about this, but hey, when you're paying attention to politics, you're probably sitting here as dumbfounded as I am. I will repeat. When I heard from I saw these memes popping up that Republicans skipped their vacation for this, I was like, no way the Democrats would do that. That's so insane. And they did. They actually did. So here's what would have happened. According to Axios, Ocasio-Cortez is saying these payments need to be universal. And that's one of the actual complaints people have with the bill. But the bill was negotiated. It was a bipartisan bill, and it got shot down by Democrats. That's why the story is so viral. Nearly 500,000 shares. That's not views, mind you. Shares. The article's probably got several million views. So here's what we're looking at. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell proposal would send $1,200 payments to every American making less than $75K. The payment amount would be reduced by $5 for every 100 an individual earns over $75,000, and then phased out entirely for individuals making more than $99,000. There are some legitimate criticisms. It would be based on your 2018 tax return, which means a lot of people may be making less money or making more money. It doesn't really make sense for a lot of people. But what are you going to, look, I got to be fair, man. What do you expect when people skip out on a vacation and work all week to try and figure this bill out? Because we are in a desperate circumstance. The market opens, it's dropping. McConnell roasts the Democrats saying, this is on you. You blocked this. You think Americans are going to ignore this? Many people are not in the weeds like we are, but they see what's happening. Between the lines, poor families who do not have federal income tax liability would see smaller payments, though the minimum would be set at $600. Josh Hawley, a Republican, criticized this, saying lower income families should not be penalized. So it wasn't perfect. Even Republicans had some criticism for this, but guess what? When you've got people who are in desperate, need of support, you get it through, and we can try another one soon. The big picture says, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said on Fox's News Sunday, he expects the Senate to vote on the Phase 3 stimulus package on Monday morning. It'll be part of one of the largest and most expensive stimulus packages in American history. And I didn't really realize the severity of this until I saw this tweet from Yashar Ali, who writes for New York Mag and Huffington Post saying, people have no money. He was shocked in response to this tweet. The Senate vote for 9:45 a.m. is going to be canceled. Democrats are not letting the Senate meet until noon, when 3 votes will be held. And Mnuchin went into Schumer's office again for the 6th conversation of the day. The Democrats are blocking this. Even Huffington Post journalists are shocked by this. And funny enough, Mitt Romney says, nothing in the Senate has shocked me until today. Standing in the way of a critically needed rescue package is irresponsible and reckless. Democrats say not enough money to states. Nearly $200 billion isn't chump change. Hospitals get at least $75 billion. He said, as for funds for companies, it's to keep entities that employ millions of Americans from folding. It's to save jobs. Keep this up a little longer and we will go from social distancing to social destruction. Man, I can't believe you've got Mitt Romney once again united back with Republicans. I want to make sure you know exactly why they're doing this. It's simple. They want to restructure things to fit their vision. They don't care about you. They don't care about what Americans need. They are flipping the narrative to try and manipulate people to get what they want. And they're saying it is the Republicans that are desperate. It is the Americans that are desperate. This to me is astounding. At a time when Donald Trump's polls have flipped so hard, he's looking at a plus 12% approval rating in recent polls. Check this out from the Real Clear Politics average. We can see in early March, Trump was underwater, -6, -6, -4, -2. People weren't completely happy with how he was responding to the crisis. But something happened. From the 17th to the 18th and beyond, Trump is now floating substantially above water with a 56, 55, and 49% approval rating, giving him a net average of above a 47.6% to a 46.6% disapproval. But if we look at just the past few days, when these moves have been made in an attempt, Trump has been saying he's going to give people this relief. He's been getting praised by Democratic governors. Now he's plus 12. What do we get? The Democrats are blocking what Americans really need. We can see this story. As where Joe Biden trends, Sanders hosts a roundtable to address the pandemic. This is a left-wing activist website I'm highlighting on purpose. Joe Biden was nowhere to be found. So let me just stop for a second and I'll point out. We've gone over the Democrats and what they've done. Let's talk about the landslide presidential reelection for Trump. Let's talk about Joe Biden. Let me just say, I'm sad. I am saddened to see Joe in this state. He's an old guy. He served his country for better or for worse. And to me, it feels like he wants one last ride off into the sunset. Man, I sympathize. Everybody meets their time when they can no longer do what they once loved doing. And for Joe Biden, that time has come and gone. So what makes me sad is that there are people around him that instead of saying, Joe, you can't ride anymore. It's over. You need to rest. Talk to the young guys or the young politicians. Give them advice. See how they do. Instead of saying that, they're propping him up and saying, you go for it, Joe. And it's just become sad. Absolutely sad. Joe Biden was gone for like a week. Nobody knew what he was doing or where he went. And because of this, it seems like they were desperate to try and figure out what they could do to get his presence back in the press. And it was a disaster. And it's so sad, man, to see these people do this to this guy. Take a look at this video. ALX from Turning Point USA. What a joke. He is helpless without a teleprompter. Joe Biden fanning people to try and change what's probably not even a teleprompter, may have been some kind of, it sounds like they're using cue cards or something. Joe Biden mutters and mumbles and then just says, we'll talk about something else. He sounds slow. He sounds tired. He does not look good. And it is, to me, it is really, really bad. Jake LaHoot from Business Insider tweeted this: Cuomo and Biden are going simultaneously with the networks carrying Cuomo. Joe Biden's running for the president, and the networks are choosing to run Governor Cuomo instead. He's not even running. He's the governor. But the governor of New York is more important than Joe Biden. He couldn't do it. He just absolutely could not do it. I want to move on now to what this means in terms of Joe Biden's weakness and why Trump is going to absolutely dominate in November. I can't believe I'm saying it, to be honest, because it does feel like no matter what happens, there's always something that somehow makes it good for Trump. Now, I think there's reason to criticize the guy. The economy is tanking. Economic forecasts say it's bad for Trump and he might lose, but I think you got to factor in reality. That's why I just showed you Joe Biden. The reality is Trump's not running against him. He's running against public opinion, which is net favorable for the most part right now. Eric Weinstein, famous intellectual dark web thinker, said, "We are now living the unthinkable because we couldn't discuss the unsayable in real time." And what was he talking about? This story. Michael Slackman of the New York Times says, by the time the borders were shut and international travel restrictions imposed, it was too late. Who's been talking about border security? Donald Trump. That's been one of his flagship positions. And I've mentioned it time and time again, so you probably get it by now. Trump's policies have absolutely been vindicated. So we are now looking at an unprecedented circumstance. In this massive crisis, the president on TV every day assuring Americans who overwhelmingly support him and Democrats who said no to the relief that he was trying to give. If we had shut things down a long time ago, this wouldn't have happened. And that's where we are today. Dr. Fauci recently was asked on Face the Nation how he feels about, Donald Trump offering up hope. And Fauci said the president was trying to bring hope to the people. I think there's this issue of the media trying to separate the two of us. There isn't fundamentally a difference there. But if you go to certain left-wing political sites, you know what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you that Fauci is splitting from the president and dragging him and insulting him. It's not the case. Fauci was saying that Trump is talking about a combination of medicines that may actually save lives. He said it's anecdotal. We need more evidence. We need to push this through. So he's giving a kind of scientific analysis where Trump is saying this might work. We're going to go for it. There's something we can try. It might be a long shot. Trump actually said it might work. It might not. But I'm trying to be hopeful for the American people. That's what he said in this argument he got into with a journalist. Of course, the media then cut it out of context and make it look like he was just being a mean person. Well, they baited him and it worked. Check this out. Anecdotal evidence. But again, more. The New York Post. Florida man with coronavirus says drug touted by Trump saved his life. I'll give you the gist of the story. The guy got sick, was put on a ventilator, and he said, "I didn't think I was going to make it. I was struggling to breathe." And he asked a doctor, "Can I try this?" And they did. And then he says it started to get scary. His heart was beating like crazy. But by the end of the day, he felt as if nothing happened. And he made it through. And he thinks Trump was right. Trump might not be right. Again, it's just anecdotal evidence. But what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to lie down and act like everything is as bad as it's ever been? It's never going to get better? Or should we have a leader who's going to say, this could be an option. We're working really hard for the American people, and we're going to get you some relief. What more could you ask for? That's why you see Cuomo, Newsom, and Ilhan Omar praising the president. Yet for some reason, it's Pelosi and Schumer who stop the relief to Americans. You know what I think? I think they've resigned to defeat. I think they know they're going to lose. So this is their reckless abandon. It's them saying, you know what? There's literally nothing we can do to win. Joe Biden's a mess. Let's just light it up. So when Trump wants to come out, you know what? We'll bring him down with us. It feels like they're trying to maximize collateral damage. I really mean it. Like we heard from that representative talking to Pelosi, we're going to reshape things in our vision. It's them saying, well, we're going to lose. We're going to lose the next 4 years. What can we do to get what we want? That's it. They're going to light everything up to get what they want. The Newsweek says economy will rebound in time for election after short, sharp recession. Newsweek poll says. Now, it's a poll. Maybe it's not legit. Maybe it's not true. But it seems like as we get closer to the election, we have several months from now till then. We have a long time. Yeah, things might clear up. Some people are saying it may only be 2 months. Trump is saying he's going to reassess things in 15 days. It might get bad. We might see a ripple effect. We might see more cases. There could be a resurgence. We don't know. But it is entirely possible that by the time the election comes around, the economy is a booming again. And Trump has done right by the American people, and they overwhelmingly support him. Aside from that, every press briefing he does is essentially a Trump rally where he talks about what he's doing for the American people. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is muttering in his home, tired and confused. Trump has got everything he needs to win. If the election rebounds, there you go. He's going to win. Now, of course, the media is going to try everything in its power to obstruct. And that's what they've been doing. If you've watched my video from the other day, you can see how the media was lying. Around the time I said this was going to get serious, Tucker Carlson said this is going to get serious. What did the media do? They ran tons of stories saying the flu is worse, even though Dr. Fauci said it is not the case on January 31st. Check this out. Amidst the Democrats blocking this relief package, the New York Times quietly edits a headline on failed deal to protect Democrats twice. Amazing. Check this out. The first headline said Democrats block action on eight. Well, let me just pull up the actual tweet so you can see the headline for yourself. This is from Josh Jordan on Twitter. Democrats block action on $1.8 trillion stimulus. Then they changed it to Democrats block action on stimulus plan seeking worker protections. They then changed it again. Partisan divide threatens deal on rescue bill. That's not true. The Republicans negotiated this bipartisan package over a week. Why would the New York Times keep changing that headline? Because the media often tries to protect the Democrats. It's not going to work this time. Americans are tuned in, and now they're paying at least some attention because the crisis got bad. I was talking to someone, a local, lives in my area a few days ago, someone who's not normally tuned into politics, and they said, what do you think about all this? I've been watching the news. And there it is. Now that they're being directly impacted and their pocketbooks are starting to drop, they're wondering why it's happening. The economy went bad, and now they want to know why. And what are they finding? They're finding that as they look deeper, the Democrats are blocking their relief. Joe Biden is muttering like a lunatic in his house, just nowhere to be seen for the most part. Who do you think's going to win in November? After all this, I think Donald Trump is going to sweep. It's going to be a major Republican victory. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment will be at 6 p.m. youtube.com/TimCastNews. Thanks for hanging out.